Here's the bad news about food stamps in November. Only 23 states are going to be issuing SNAP benefits in the month of November as President Trump changed his mind today and did a U turn about paying food stamps for November right after the federal government said it was going to pay half of the benefits in November. There's so much chaos going on right now regarding SNAP benefits. And so, my focus right now is to tell you what each state is doing to help SNAP recipients as this shutdown drags on and the president changes his mind about paying November food stamps. If you've been watching my channel, I have been keeping you updated on what has been happening. And yesterday, I told you that based on ruling by a federal judge, the Trump administration had agreed to pay half of November benefits. And that was good news for the 42 million Americans that depend on food stamps. Well, today, November the 4th, the president changed his mind. He said he was not going to pay November food stamps benefits any longer and then left everything in chaos. This afternoon, the White House is scrambling to figure out what their official position is about food stamps for November. But in the meantime, I'm going to tell you this. A lot of states have stepped up. The last time I reported on this, only 8 states were on the list as helping SNAP beneficiaries in the month of November. Now we have a list of 23 states. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a map of who these states are and what specifically they're doing for their SNAP recipients. Plus, I'm going to explain what happens to the other 27 states that are not paying food stamps in November. What can you expect going forward? And there's a lot to cover today, so stay with me. My name is Kwame Kwade. I am a government benefits expert. I have been helping seniors get the retirement benefits they deserve over the last 15 years. I create content on Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, and other personal finance topics that are of interest to seniors. So if you are new to my channel, welcome. I am glad you're here. Do me a quick favor, go into the comments and let me know your city and your state, because I like to know where you guys are watching my broadcast from. And if you've been watching this channel for a while, welcome back. I am glad you're here. So we're going to start with this map, and then we're going to go through what the states are doing. And then I'm going to update you on what happened today at the White House, where the president said one thing, and then the administration officials are saying something else. A federal judge is saying one thing, and then the states that are suing the government is saying something else. So we have 4 different opinions right now about what's going to happen to November food stamps. I'm going to tell you all of that at the end of this presentation, because right now I want to focus on help, because we've been through a lot of chaos over the last couple of days. I know a lot of you are frustrated, and I am frustrated because I feel like I'm coming to you and telling you things, and then they're changing right away, and then I have to come back and tell you something different. And so I'm frustrated too, but I want to focus on the positive, and that is states that are helping. So let's start with that, and then we'll deal with the chaos that is happening with the Trump administration regarding SNAP benefits at the end of the video. So stay through the entire video. I'm going to cover everything in detail in a way that you can understand and decide what it means for you. So let's start with the map that Newsweek has put together that is supposed to help us navigate what's happening. So I'm going to go to that map and scroll down to make sure that you can see what it looks like. So when I did this a few weeks ago, there were just a handful of states that were on it. And so this was the map before. And you can see it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 states that were actually helping SNAP recipients. That number has now expanded to 23 states. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to show you what each state is doing to help SNAP recipients. So I'm going to pull up another list to show you what's happening. In the meantime, before I do that, if you want to stay on top of all this, it's my job to do this. It's my job to keep you updated about what's happening. But it can be a lot. I mean, the news is changing literally. The president said something yesterday. Today he said something different. The Department of Agriculture is also on So many angles, I don't even know what to say. But here's the thing: if you want to stay on top of all this news, text the word SNAP to 443-293-0080. You will be added to my text list. You will join thousands of seniors that are getting real time text messages about anything in and out of Congress that is going to affect your benefit, your retirement, or your finances. And it's free of charge, so it doesn't cost you anything from my end, and you will stay on top of the news. So text SNAP to the number you see on your screen. Now, next, I want to talk about this list of states that are helping. 23 states are helping food stamp recipients in the month of November. So let's start and see what each state is doing to understand what's happening. So, first, we start with Alabama. Alabama is taking $1 million. Actually, specifically, the city of Birmingham is taking $1 million from their city reserve fund to feed families. The state itself says it lacks resources. So the state of Alabama said they don't have money to do anything for SNAP recipients, but the city of Birmingham is stepping up and putting up $1 million from their city reserve fund to do it. Alaska has not announced anything yet. The state has not announced a plan yet, but Arizona is putting $1.8 million into food banks and emergency fresh food program. They plan to shore up food banks that way. Arkansas has not announced anything, but California has announced a plan. They are putting $80 million of the state fund to help food banks, and they've activated the National Guard to distribute prepaid cards as a pilot. And then the city of San Francisco is also on its own putting $9 million to help out. Colorado, the state of Colorado is putting $10 million grants to food banks to help SNAP recipients. And then let me move this out of the way. Connecticut is also helping out with $3 million grants to Connecticut Food Share. It's an emergency funding to statewide food banks. So as you can see, states are doing things differently. Some are funding food banks directly, some are issuing direct payments. So going going forward, we have Delaware. They haven't discussed anything yet, but they've issued a state of emergency. So it means that they plan to do something. District of Columbia, $30 million direct state funds to maintain EBT. So they're going to pay fully. DC is going to pay EBT fully for SNAP and then WIC locally. Florida has not announced anything yet. Georgia has not announced any action yet. There is no replacement plans. But what they are doing in Georgia is that there's a local moratorium on shut off and late fees for utility bills and evictions in the Atlanta area. Hawaii, $2 million funds statewide food banks. And so this is going directly to food banks and trying to help with housing and utility aid with charities. Idaho, no plans yet. Illinois, there's an executive order to coordinate response. They're putting $20 million into food banks and partnership with grocers and other organizations to help distribute food. Indiana has not announced any plan yet, but Iowa is putting up to $1 million, and they're going to match donations to regional food banks, and they're using National Guard to help. So the state will match money that is donated to food banks. That is very innovative. That is new. So the state is saying that they're going to donate $1 million, up to $1 million, for any private contribution to food banks to help food stamp recipients. Moving on, let's see what we have next. Now we have Kansas, the state of Kansas, and the state of Kansas has no plans yet. So that is the key phrase, yet. And then Kentucky has not announced anything, but Louisiana is putting a lot of money. They are authorizing money to pay SNAP benefits. Um, I have to confirm that number because that looks larger than I thought it was going to be. Maine is putting $1.25 million in grants to anti-hunger programs. Maryland initially committed $10 million. As of today, they have increased that to $62 million is going to be direct EBT coverage and grants to food banks. So Maryland has really stepped up here from 10 million to 62 million. Massachusetts, $8 million before they had announced 4 million. So you can see states are realizing that the the need is greater and the federal government is not going to do much right now. And so states have been doubling, quadrupling their aid. Michigan is putting a lot of money. I don't believe the number that I see. So I'm going to check that. Minnesota, $4 million into food pantry grants, and Mississippi has not announced anything yet. Next, we have Missouri, $10.6 million, and they're going to contribute that towards seniors, plus $5 million to food banks. So 10 million to senior meals, 5 million to food banks. Montana has not announced anything. No news from Nebraska. Nevada, $30 million to food banks, and they are going to activate the National Guard to distribute that. New Hampshire, $2 million to mobile food pantries for SNAP household. No news from New Jersey, no news from New Mexico. New York, $106 million. They had committed 65 earlier. So you can see New York has doubled their amount as they realize that the need is greater than they thought. Moving on to North Carolina, $10 million in state funds and $8 million in private funds to food banks. North Dakota, no news yet. Ohio, $7 million, and now it's at 18 million more. So they're distributing that to food banks. Oklahoma, no news. Oregon, $5 million to food banks. Pennsylvania, $60 million proposed and $25 million held up. So the situation there is very fluid. Rhode Island, 200,000 to food banks. 10th and 65K people who are on 10th are going to get help. South Carolina, no news yet. No news from South Dakota, Tennessee, or Texas or Utah. Vermont is putting $6.3 million in direct EBT plus food bank help. Virginia has announced they're going to do something, but they haven't announced specifically how much. And Washington State, $2.2 million. And South Dakota, no news. I think that's the same list. So let's move on to the last one. West Virginia, $13 million matching donation, and then they're going to use the National Guard to distribute that. Wisconsin, $69 million to be determined by the legislature, and no news from Wyoming. So why are the states doing this? Well, the need is great and it's urgent. 16 million children, 40% of all SNAP recipients are going to go hungry if this does not happen. 8 million seniors are on food stamps. 1.2 million veterans are on food stamps, and 22 million active duty families. In fact, 1 in 8 Americans are on food stamps, getting $6 per day on average. So it's not a lot of money, but it's much, much needed help that people rely on. So that is where we are. Now, let me know in the comments what you think. Is your state helping out, and what do you think about what the states are doing? Do you think they're doing enough? Here's the thing: the states cannot do what the federal government does. So I don't want to set that expectation. The states are trying their best, especially in this economic climate where states have to balance their budget. They still have to find the money to do this. So I know it's a lot, but let me know if your state was mentioned. Let me know if you're satisfied. If your state wasn't mentioned, let me know what you think about that. In the meantime, if you want to stay on top of all of this and stay up to date on news and update, text the word SNAP to the number you see on your screen so that you can be added to my text list. So finally, let's talk about what happened today. So yesterday, I told you that a federal judge had given the Trump administration two options. They need to, one, either pay SNAP benefits full yesterday, which was Monday, or pay half benefits on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. They decided to do the half payment for November. The reason is that they said the emergency fund does not have enough money to cover the entire month. It has $5 billion, 5.5. They need 9 billion, and they are not willing to pull money from other places to do it. So that was the news yesterday, and that's what I reported yesterday. Today, the president changed his mind completely after his lawyers had told a federal judge that they were two federal judges, actually, one in Massachusetts, one in Rhode Island. They've told federal judges that they were going to pay partial benefits. The president woke up today and said, no, we're not doing that. And so put a stop to that. So now we don't know what's happening. The White House now later today is saying, well, they're going to fund the partial benefits, but who is the authority? If the president is saying no, and the president is the head of the White House, then like what are we supposed to believe? So I am not trusting any of that right now until the president himself comes out and says otherwise, because he's the head of the government, he's the head of the White House. If he says no, then it's a no until he changes his mind and says yes. So that's where we are. I don't want to set any false expectation so that people are taking this and being hopeful about getting SNAP benefits, and then I have to come back and tell you otherwise. So I'm very, very, very cautious today because I don't like how things have transpired the last couple of days, because I think there are real lives at stake. There's real, hunger that's happening with people who cannot afford food. And that is fundamentally a big problem, and so we cannot play around with this like you know it is just another political football to toss around. People are going to go hungry, and worse things can happen if people go hungry. And so I take this seriously, and I want to bring you news that I believe in. I can tell you honestly today, I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is that we were hopeful yesterday, and a federal judge issued an order, and I thought that when judges say something, it stands, and apparently it doesn't. And so we'll wait to see what happens. Let me know what you think in the comments. And finally, there's a lot going on, but we still have to do things that we have to do, including if you're a senior, dealing with Medicare during this open enrollment. And if you've been watching my channel, you know that I've been on a crusade to help 100,000 seniors during this open enrollment get the benefits, the Medicare benefits that gives them peace of mind. Why is that important? Why do you need peace of mind about Medicare? Well, the problem is that if you have not been paying attention to all the changes that have been happening, and you get in the wrong plan, not only is it going to cost you money, $6,000 on average out of pocket, but it's also going to cost you a lot health wise, because there is nothing worse than needing medical care and realizing that your Medicare plan does not cover something you thought was covered last year and automatically assumed it will be covered next year. It is not. So, my job is to connect you to the best resource out there. Why? Because 90% of seniors, based on the survey, are in the wrong Medicare plan for them. And I can't blame them. There's 24,000 plans. So, how do you know what plan in your area is best for you? Whether you're switching from Medicare Advantage to Original Medicare or Original Medicare to Medicare Advantage, whether you're changing your Medicare plan in your original Medicare plan, or whether you're switching between Advantage plans, all this can be overwhelming. So, if you've been paying attention to the news, you know that there's been a lot of changes happening. That is why I am recommending Chapter. Chapter Medicare is going to do one thing for you, is to look at your current plan and give you a straight answer whether you're in the best plan for you or whether there's a better plan out there that will save you money. That's the thing, save you money and give you the best coverage you want in your budget, and the provider network that you need and the prescription drugs that you need covered. They have access to all 24,000 plans, so they can tell you. Here's the good news. We've sent over 3,000 of our viewers to Chapter, and the feedback we've gotten overwhelmingly has been great. And so that peace of mind that I'm talking about, you too can get that. So call the number you see on the screen, 539-205-2147. It's open enrollment. The number may be busy, but try and call again. Or you can even call during the weekend. You'll get through right away. At least better, because during the weekend, traffic is a little bit slow, and they are open on Saturday and Sunday during this open enrollment. So, my point is call chapter and get that peace of mind about Medicare. Let them see if you are in the best plan. And if you are, they'll tell you. And then now you're good. But if you're not, they will help you switch to a better plan. And there's nothing more important right now than doing this. So if you want them to call you, then fill out the form at askchapter.org/insider, and they'll give you a call. And one last thing. If all of this right now that I'm talking about is really overwhelming to you, and you feel like, okay, what is gonna happen next? Well, my job is to stay on top of all of this and share the news with you. So I'll be back here tomorrow with an update on what's happening with food stamps. Then that's my promise to you. I'll be back here tomorrow with an update on food stamps and everything that's happening. If you want to stay updated, join my text list. But if you rather that we email you anything that's happening that will affect your budget, your benefits, and your retirement, you can also sign up for our email list. Go to benefitsupdates.com, the website you see on the screen, benefitsupdates.com, and you add your email, the best email you have, so that you can stay on top of the news. And we'll send you email updates on what we think you should be aware of that can impact your retirement or your benefits. So if you like what you heard, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you tomorrow.